student needs. She fosters very productive, engaging and critical thinking, and provides multiple entry points for learning. Mrs. Jaber also prioritizes social emotional learning. My honor to announce our District Teacher of the Year. approachable demeanor. His commitment to maintaining beautiful, well-kept campuses fosters school pride and contributes to a positive and welcoming environment for our entire MRH community. Thank you. So guys, this was super hard for us to go through the nominations and select a winner because everyone is so extremely deserving. But from this outstanding group, the selection committee reviewed the nominations and identified a recipient for District Support Staff of the Year, and it is my honor to announce the District Support Staff Member of the Year, Glennis Wagner. I knew she was going to be shocked. She looked at me like, what? So at this time, I would like to invite back our sponsor, Community America Credit Union, to share a few remarks.
Congratulations, and thank you for the impacts that you're making in the school district as well.
Now, one more picture with the money. So in closing, these honorees represent the heart of our district. Their work lives builds relationships and strengthens our entire community. So please join me one more time in celebrating all of the recipients. We thank you very much for everything you do each and every day. Also, a special thanks to Rachel Ward, Emily Cressman, Lauren Weisler, Michael Dietrichs, Chris McGee, and from Community America Credit Union, Jim Strobel, who helped us choose the district nominees. Thank you.
All right, each year, the Maplewood Richmond Heights School District, our Board of Education, honors members of our staff and community with our distinguished awards. The board solicits nominations by MRH staff and our SSD colleagues in several categories: Advocate of the Year, Family of the Year, Citizen of the Year, Community Partner of the Year, and Spirit of MRH. Last month, the board opted to extend the nomination deadline in the family category. The board will make their selection during this meeting and recognize the recipients at the monthly meeting in May. Let's begin with the 2026 Advocate of the Year. We received 2 nominations for this individual. Here are some excerpts from the nominating letters. Patrice Jackson is an outstanding advocate. Patrice Jackson is an outstanding advocate, particularly for those who are the most vulnerable, most marginalized, and most underserved. Serving our youngest learners.
every day to pour into the next generation and protect their peace. Yet I am forced to hold their futures in my hand while my own light is being dimmed. This burden is not just mine to carry. When I am forced to mask my grief and navigate a community that stays silent, it impacts my students too. They see the masks that we have to wear. They feel the tension of a world that celebrates their potential but ignores the violence that threatens their reality. We cannot truly be there for the children if we are not allowed to be honest about the world they are inheriting. This is a mental health crisis fueled by 1,000 cuts. The trauma of watching this violence is made worse by the daily weight of underlying racism. It is the microaggressions, the well-meaning dismissals, and the constant policing of how we speak and show up in our schools. This psychological warfare tells us that we are only valued for what we produce, not for our humanity. And I want to end with thank you, Dr. Jameson, on behalf of just tons of us. I appreciate that you have called people to a higher standard. You have wanted to not be, some people get up here, but that everybody has the opportunity to get up here. You've made it, tried to make an equal standard for everyone. We see that, and we are thankful. You are brilliant, you are amazing, you deserve this promotion, and we are grateful for you.
Thank you, everyone. Next up, we have the consent agenda. May I take a motion?
Presented.
Second. All right, good. Is there anything anyone wanted to move out of consent? Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? All right. Next up, we have our calendar report. Please join us.
Hello, I'm Emily Stone, and I'm a senior at the Richmond Heights High School. I'm here to provide on behalf of Calvert, to provide our monthly report. And I would like to thank the new candidates for being here and also for allowing me to be on the stage. So back in March, we were able to host the Meet the Candidate Night, which went very well, and I'm very grateful for all of the community and candidates who ended up showing up. It went very well, and we love to see all the people in the community come together for that. Welcome. Additionally, we met with our elementary and our middle school for building level suggestions. Those are primarily just for the building rather than the whole district. And all things related to their own environment rather than what they see throughout the whole school or in the whole district. Continued needs include a college advisor for our students, not just the upperclassmen, but also the underclassmen, the incoming seniors, and the seniors who will be graduating. An audit of clubs and after-school opportunities, along with a student trainer and an upcoming Shadow of Student Day. These are all things we've been looking and thinking about over the past year, and we want to be able to provide these things for our students. So yeah. For the next year, as we close this year, instead of just finishing what we've been discussing, we want to be able to provide a continuous space for our students. This includes a board shadow day in the fall for incoming high schoolers to be able to see a normal high school day rather than our typical testing day as the end of the year is coming. Additionally, a Pal board recap with our administration, with the students, to be able to have that cross communication, be able to provide real experience and first-person experience. Additionally, as the testing season comes up, we wish everyone good luck, and we are excited to move on into the next year. Are there any questions?
No questions, but I did want to say we should have a
this month, we have to move it to next month because we didn't have the contract finalized, so exciting news, we should have that by the end of the year before you graduate, so. And I am excited for that shadow student day next fall. I think that was a great idea that you guys came up with this year. Thank you.
I just wanted to add that the forum that you guys hosted was great, and we appreciate all of the work that went into preparing the questions, and they were hard questions.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Emily's going to be excused because she has some homework to do.
Homework, I'm sure. Thanks for coming and filling us in. All right, next up we have property updates. Bond issue update by Ray.
Thank you for the opportunity to update tonight. Is the approved projects to date this month because of the HVAC contract that was approved last month? 4.8 million now has been approved against actual construction. Total of 7.8, so 61% of your construction project budget is now approved. The say we continue, green is good, we continue to be under, a little bit this month, just under 50,000, up from 41 last month. And on schedule, well, speaking of schedule, we've been on schedule, or we are on schedule on every project. Overall, the summary has been revised a little bit this month. The approved project total we just mentioned, the pending project for construction is at $3 million now. We have a couple before you tonight to be approved. There are other program costs, including the furniture, signage, professional fees. That's the $2.3 million number. So those have been approved and are in process. Premium bond funds, $1.574 million, is still available for assigning to additional future projects. It has to be spent by June of 2028. Contingencies is about the same, about $900,000. That remains, that hasn't been committed or approved yet. Savings today, the good news is that all of the kitchens, the renovation project came in under the budget, so those savings are now available also for other work. We are conservatively, at this point, saying all of the, except for the 385,000 savings will be spent. Down at the bottom, the bond interest is at 342,000 at this point, also available. Actually, a little bit of that's been committed already, but the majority of it is still available for additional future projects. And then the March highlights you have, and I'll just be really brief and say that all of the spring break work was completed as planned, except for a minor repair that we need to do to the sidewalk this summer. And the design projects are all moving along on schedule. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have study items. First up is property ECC library edition follow-up by Dr. Dietrich.
We're struggling to get some things up, so I will do my best to just describe it. So first one, Rockme ECC Library Edition. So the goal there is, excuse me, the goal is to.
I'm having trouble hearing through the microphone. Is anyone else? Yeah, I think it might be better not to use the microphone if that's or near it or near. I can't. It's just like really hard to hear, understand what you're saying. I mean, is it or if we move it closer, maybe it's just I can't hear it really well. I don't know. Maybe people can the people hear online now? Because no one could hear online before you. They can't hear.
I'm recording it
Oh, okay,
just in case.
okay. Let us know if you can't hear. Still use it, okay. It's hard to. All right. Maybe that will work.
Okay, is this better?
Yeah.
Okay. I will try not yelling into the microphone so that you can hear me as well. So our plan for ECC Library, if you remember, we had two different options. We were looking at building on the side of the building so that we weren't stuck in the basement anymore. But obviously, we want to be smart with our money. So what I'm proposing this evening is to build the hallway that is going to be built anyway, no matter what we do at the basement, whether that stays a library or whether we repurpose that into something else in a year, but actually take a year to study it. Make sure that the finances are right. Look at the entire building and how we move things around. Take into consideration the Trivers report, all of those things. But there is nothing in this project that would hinder us moving forward. So the idea would be we build the hallway that gives SSD a little bit more privacy in their offices. It gives the library a dedicated space without our custodial staff that cuts through, SSD staff that cuts through. It'll also infill the two doors that go to the music room. There's a lot of, I don't want to call it noise pollution, but there's noise coming because it sounds great. But coming from the music room into the library, we'll infill those doors to cut that sound problem. The other sound problem is the gym above. So we would put bad insulation in the ceiling to cut down some of that sound. Currently, our teachers at the ECC do not have a sink in their teachers' lounge. This would provide a sink on the other side of the wall. That's a minimal, it's something we plan on doing as well. So there's nothing we plan on doing on this that would harm us in the future. It's actually just getting some work done that will help us in the future. Base bid was $115,446. We had an add alternate if we were to replace the entire ceiling tile replacement. I actually would not propose we go along with that alternate. I would wait a year to see really what we're going to do. We just need to add that insulation. And then, so total with alternate is $126,246, but I would actually recommend just approving the base bid.
Thank you, Mike. I'm here, and I appreciate that we went back to the drawing board and after community and then some more input. And I like the idea of taking a year to study the space. Just out of curiosity, because the drawings that you provided, and just maybe my memory looked a little different than what we had seen in the core resource committee. Is this wall that you're talking about? This is the wall that was separating the classrooms.
Yeah,
the existing libraries.
Yeah, it was the same wall that was in that drawing.
That was in that.
Yeah, separating on that south side of the building, having that hallway separated.
Okay, thank you. And I love the idea of the insulation and the sound damping.
You lived through that meeting.
Yes, that was perfect timing. Gym use.
Go ahead. So there are existing plans to renovate the basement area of the library. And this wall is one of the walls that were in those plans. We are not modifying, we can always add on at a later time. We're not destroying the plan that we potentially could do, right? Correct. Okay.
And that was my question for clarity for those of us not on the resources committee. When we originally were planning for property, my recollection was like this was about a $300,000 renovation. But so what I hear you saying is we're going to take a pause, do the one wall that will help us separate the space, and do some other things that will help, and then look at the existing space. And maybe we continue with what we were originally doing. Maybe we do something.
Yes.
But we're not changing anything.
Yeah, because I think our financial picture, as far as what we're going to be able to do, it really clears up as we get out of this coming summer. Because this is like our major projects that are coming out. And then we can really look at it and say, do we have the funds to move forward and give the kids a library they deserve? Or do we give them one that's good, but it's still in the basement?
Right, and maybe we have a different space we need or whatever.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
have the district-wide kitchen, general contractor contract.
All right, so very excited to recommend Legacy Contracting Group. If you remember Legacy, they completed our central office on time and under budget. So when they came in as not just bidding on it, but they were also our lowest bidder. So we don't always just go with lowest bidder, we go with best bid. Anytime it's the lowest bidder and it's somebody you're comfortable with and has done great work for you. But the base contract is $1,012,355. We were recommending a contingency. Typically in a project this size, you would recommend like a 5 to 7% contingency. But that's if it's on one location. The fact that we have 3 different locations going on, the chances that we're going to run into an issue, that goes up. So we are recommending a 10% contingency on this. And I should say that includes all of our alternates. So when we walked into this project, we looked at, give you an example, the elementary cafeteria right behind you. It's kind of dull, and so this actually includes having somebody come in and not just do the kitchen, but paint the entire cafeteria. Same thing at the ACC, painting the gymnasium. So there's quite a few alternates in here, and we're doing all of that, and we're still $336,000 under budget. So I'd like to commend Bog Architects, Navigate, for everybody. It was great, just collaboration to bring that in under budget, significantly under budget.
And this is we approved the equipment like last month, right? So this is just construction and installation.
This includes the equipment.
Oh, okay.
So what will happen is when Legacy gets this contract, they will take over the contract for the kitchen equipment.
Okay, so this includes that now.
Yeah, which the great news is the kitchen equipment that we were really worried about coming in on time arrived last week. So it is in storage and ready to roll. Did I mention it's $336,000 under budget? Okay, just wanted to make sure.
We'll take that. That might be enough for the alternates we have later. All right, next up we have the theater upgrades.
All right, theater upgrades was part of our Prop B, looking at that. So BRS Architects is in our architect toolbox. They are not just a great firm, but they also have 2 children go through our arts program, and they're very excited about being a part of this. So that would include audience flooring, curtain restoration, lighting, sound enhancements, and door hardware. So this would be $10,000 is their lump sum to help us design that and oversee the project. And this is money that we have in the bond. It's budgeted for.
So we did budget. I thought we just budgeted for the floor, but we budgeted for curtains and all that stuff too.
So the floor is going to come in under budget.
Okay.
But these are all things. So for example, the curtains are supposed to be treated and restored every couple of years. I don't have any documentation showing that that's been done. So that's something we do. The lighting is also included.
Was included in what we had. So is it still within that number that we had set aside?
Yeah, we're actually getting more done, and for the same
amount. Keep going here. Parking lot lease and infrastructure.
So it says lease. The lease will actually be coming next month. We're still in negotiations with City of Richmond Heights with that, and those are going well. Basically, this breaks down to the $385,091.85. That is actually part of the Ameren money that is coming in. We do not have to pay a single cent on that, and the funds that are guaranteed to us. The only thing that will be coming out of the bond is the paving and the civil work. So we'll be doing some infrastructure to that parking lot, and then currently we're negotiating a reduction on the lease because of the work that we're doing. But the reason we're bringing this before the lease is so that they can get the ball rolling. Vernon Jones, same company that did our track and field, they're a tips vendor, so they'll be performing the work. But we want to bring this now so that they can get their balls rolling, so that when the lease is approved, we can get moving on that.
Which parking lot is this exactly?
There's a parking lot that is directly across from their public works. So if you're Menards or Andy's Ice Cream or Custard, you come down the road. It's actually the road that's blocked off and you can't pass through anymore. So it's right there. So a lot of privacy. The city of Richmond Heights is very good to work with.
So you're installing lighting, that's the electrical infrastructure.
The chargers.
Chargers.
So, but there will also be some lighting that we're recommending gets installed.
Are there any neighbors that would love lighting?
No, we've actually talked with the city about, making sure those are on timers. And when I spoke with Ameren, they actually recommended they have light poles with motion sensors. So they're talking about that's what we really should put in, so that the only time they're coming on is when our buses are pulling in or out. And it's a good deterrent if somebody comes in and goes near our buses.
This parking lot is fenced off right now.
It is not fenced.
We have it.
We do not have a plan to have fencing at this time. Our buses aren't fenced now. We have very minimal issues with it. That's with them being stored right next to a train stop. So we get no issues here and there, but we're fine.
It's been a few years ago when we used to put parking lot fencing out by the track area, right?
Pretty much because that's the only space we have.
I just assumed you were behind some long gates.
All right, next is HVAC alternates.
I'm back. All right. HVAC alternates. We have met with the engineers. We've also met with the installer. At this time, we do have some recommended alternates at 186-200. I think those are things that are instrumental in just making sure that what we're doing, we're spending this amount of money, and what we're doing is effective. And then the second is the potential required code alternates. That is what I'm asking to set aside a contingency. There's some, if you read the code, it says for new water source heat pumps, in this case, they're not devices new, but it's actually a replacement. So we have our installer saying, I don't think you guys really need these. And we have the engineer saying, hey, I think we need these. So what we're asking is set this aside in contingency, have that approved so that if they come in and say, you have to have this, the money's there, we can move forward without coming back to the board. Because in the end, the AHJ, or the authority having jurisdiction, is going to come in and say yes or no, whether you have to have this.
And that's for both items, or just a second one?
The 186-200, that's something we
That's we have to, that's what I saw.
The 198-280, that's something I think we just need to set that aside in contingency. If we don't need it, then it becomes back available. But if we need it, it's already approved, and we don't have to come back, because that's going to stall it over the summer, and then we won't finish with kids in that.
And we're removing the damaged units from all the I asked about this last meeting. A couple different schools.
I think we proved that last time, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this pricing was removed. It's not just the high school.
This is the high school. These are the water source heat pumps.
But we approved the removal separately last time, and then the cable. So it was a different cost, I think, right?
Well, this one says these improvements include removal of abandoned.
Yeah, that's why I asked that last time. But it's not.
That's already been approved.
One question I had, and I think, we see a clear savings on something else, but I think for me it would be helpful going forward when we have these, especially these additional fundings, if we could get like a list of what we have left that we're doing, like our current projects, like a line item, and what they're estimated to cost, so we can get a better idea of where, especially when we have things come up that are additional costs, to understand like if, what we have to work with to afford it, that would be really helpful.
We actually have a slide for that. For some reason, we can't get it.
Oh, okay, it's on there now, okay, okay. I'll go back and look at that. So, it was on there.
Right.
Any other questions? No? All right, then you're still up, but with something different, which is school meal prices.
So the PLE, which is the calculator for figuring out what we can charge for lunches, last year, I'm going to go from memory here, but I think it was, we could raise it to about 35 cents. that margin continues to grow every year. Last year there was concern with us bringing the milk prices so late because we brought them in the summer. So we're trying to get out ahead of this time. We're recommending 10 cents on all meals and then 5 cents on milk. And that still keeps us very competitive, kind of in the middle. It's where we're assuming, because most districts have not released their milk prices yet because the BLE tool has not been released. But we are confident, USDA recommends a minimum of 10 cents. We're okay with that, and I think it's respectful to our constituents. Thank you, everyone, and congrats to the members.
All right, and then the next item we'll have to table until our next meeting, CF Life Trainer, because we weren't able to get the contract back in time. So look forward to that next month. And so next up we have Policy Batch 2025E by Dr. James.
So we have 3 policies coming back for a second read. The first policy around instructional media centers really is updated primarily around statistics and to add formal complaints, review process, modernize language, and to add an addition for digital resources. It also clarifies for parents access and student opt-out options as well. The regulation to ACR1 is actually being recommended to be rescinded because this information is included in the previous policy that is coming forward. The last policy is policy 2A, instructional materials. This policy is being updated to align with Division 6 and also to modernize the policy for digital instructional materials, which are used more frequently in the classroom, and also to include stronger protections for students such as data and privacy. And lastly, to clarify the difference between staff versus the board's responsibilities in selecting materials. These items will come back next month for approval in May. So, any questions you may have?
Any questions? No? All right, thank you. All right, next up we have the Distinguished Award for Family of the Year. We had tabled this until this month to allow the opportunity for some additional submissions to be made. I'd like to thank everyone who submitted additional families. Clearly, we are so lucky to have so many wonderful families in our district. Oh, Ed, I'm sorry. You go right ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I was going to say that. I think that decision paid off. We got a lot of nominations. It was very gratifying. Just so you know, none of the families nominated for 2026 has ever been nominated before, so you got a clean slate to work from there. I did not edit the nomination narratives in any way, so what was submitted is what you reviewed. The Family of the Year will be invited to return for formal recognition by this board on May 21st. And thanks to a very generous donation by a local business, the Family of the Year will be enjoying much more than a grass and wooden plaque. I'll just leave it at that. For the benefit of the audience, these are the criteria for the selection. I'll make it quick. Active engagement in school life. This family demonstrates consistent involvement in school activities, such as volunteering, attending events, supporting classrooms, helping with school initiatives. Support for student success. This family shows a strong commitment to their child's learning and well-being, while encouraging academic growth, positive behavior, and perseverance. Also, positive partnership with staff and other families. This family builds constructive relationships with teachers and staff and other families, helping strengthen the sense of community within the district. And finally, contributions that make the school community stronger. This family goes above and beyond in ways that reflect the district's values, promoting inclusion, supporting others, or helping create a welcoming environment for all students and families. So I will step aside and let you begin your thoughtful deliberations unless there are any questions I may answer.
Thank you, Ed. And like I was saying, I mean, we are literally so lucky to have so many families that are so committed to our district and help make it a special place it is. So we can discuss nominations. I actually, when I saw this family on the list, to me, encountered this family, this Dick family, in preschool when our oldest children showed up in preschool together 15 years ago, and since then I have never not seen them at any event. I had the pleasure of coaching with Dan for, I know he coached since preschool soccer. We were able to coach soccer together, and then he also stepped up when our basketball coach left and could help coach basketball. Stacy was instrumental in the PTO trivia night at the elementary school and making that such a success. And now at the high school with the Booster Club, they have stepped up, and I rarely attend a game where they're not in the concession stand working. Their children are active in every activity, whether it be sports, including partnership with other districts that we've had, leadership roles, debate, broadcasting, theater. I think every time I see them, they are always so kind and welcoming. And so for me, like, I was very excited to see them nominated because I couldn't think of a more deserving family. So that's sort of throw them out there for possible nomination.
Just want to add, she also helped with prop work too.
Yes. So yes. Pretty much anything that's needed help, I think they're always some of the first people to volunteer.
What is the process here?
So I think we just talk about it, and then when we get to the action items, we'll do the nominations.
I was also delighted to see the Dicks on this list. In fact, 3 families involved in Booster Club were nominated. The Dicks, the Hamiltons, and the Wilburns. I would like to have a conversation about the Wilburns as well. Jenny is the VP of Booster Club right now. She was an MRH alum, class of 99. She's raised 3 kids in our district. One of whom is a junior in the South China program. One is graduated, so they graduated last year. And their youngest, I forget his name, but he's in elementary. Stevie is in elementary school. Mario, the dad, coaches wrestling. And I think that they also, yes, this is a challenge, right? They also embody all of the virtue and values that we see recognized in the district. Nothing against Dixie and Dan because they are amazing.
Yeah, no, and like I said, it's part, so any families who.
I agree. I was going to mention the Wilburns as well for the same reasons. I've known them every year since I've lived in the district. They live just around the corner. Jenny's dad is one of our neighbors, so I've got our kids and I grown up with their kids. And they are a delightful family and have been diehard supporters of the district and the schools, and especially the students, particularly students who have felt left out of other sports, and they found ways to encourage kids and identify new sports and help kids get engaged where they can. So I think it's just been a delightful family. I think the Dicks the same, and I think both families will be deserving. It'll be a tough one.
Sorry for the second. All right, anything else? What we were discussing is the potential for a co-family of the year because I think we do have to. So I think that's a great idea. Sorry, and we'll figure out a way. We'll contribute to help with the prize. We're all like, but I think that would be great. So, okay, anyone else have any discussion on this? All right. Next up, we have admin communications. We have program evaluation with special education by Emily Pressman and Ms. Estrada.
Good evening, Board, Dr. Jameson, community members. Thank you for having me this evening to give you an update on our special education programming. Vince is beside me as my partner in work here.
She did all the work.
So first, I want to highlight our partnership agreement. agreement annually. This is something that is presented to all school boards that are partners with Special School District in St. Louis County, and it discusses and outlines our detailed partnership in the categories that you see. So our staffing, teaching, learning, and accountability, collaboration of responsibilities, resources. It meets the local compliance plan as well as the general assistance document, principal coordinator collaboration tool, our student services, data technology, transportation, career, and technical education. So each of those sections is thoughtfully discussed and determined about how our partnership works, both with Special School District and Maplewood Richmond Heights. So I have included that partnership agreement in totality as well, but that's something again that comes annually, typically in September, for boards to review, clarify any questions, and enter an agreement with. The next piece that I have to share with you is our program overview, which outlines enrollment as well as students who are eligible for our support and services in each of our buildings. So Vince and I were just talking about these numbers together, and we know that enrollment is taken official counts in September. We take an IEP official count in December. So our enrollment numbers are fluid and ever-changing. So please know that this is a snapshot in time, but also our trends are consistent. So you can see that we are running at about a 16% eligibility rate in our district for students K-12 right now. So this does not include our early childhood numbers at this time. So as we're thinking about that and where it is in comparison to state and county averages, we are running a little bit higher than those averages. State is running near 13% and the county is running closer to 15%. So slightly higher, but not concerningly higher. The next piece that I want to share with you are some of the highlights of the work that we have been doing this year. We have rolled out and launched our Charting the Life course process for IEPs. I think that our families have had a positive response to this. Part of that process is an IEP survey that our families receive after being a part of these collaborative meetings with our staff. And as those survey results come in, they are sent to me and I review them and share them with staff so that they know how they're doing in partnering with our families. So in doing that process, we have also been able to honor the voice and value of all of our families in that partnership with our parents and their support systems outside of school. So we've seen a great improvement in that family engagement in that process. As well as, in the same vein of IEP compliance, we received a 100% compliance from DESE with our compliance review. So that looks like a submission of a variety of IEPs for the state to review. They come back with feedback and results, and we received a clear in compliance for our efforts there. We've also expanded our self-contained programming at our early childhood center. So we have had an increase in our students needing significant supports and services from a variety of service providers, particularly in that building. And we've continued to partner with Dr. Stansel and Dr. Ricker in terms of tiered systems of support for those students, as well as ensuring their services are provided. We have also increased our co-teaching at the middle school significantly, and we have worked to continue to have students accessing general education curriculum with their non-disabled peers on a consistent and regular basis at all levels. This year we were able to also provide a targeted professional development to specifically designed instruction to our secondary staff. Consistently, our scores and student performance data in our secondary levels are continuing to trend in the direction that we don't want them to go. So in an effort to target specific support for those cohorts of students, we provided more direct professional development to staff working with students in 7th through 12th grade. The next piece that I want to show you and highlight for you are our 4 goal areas that we had for this year. We have 2 academic goals, 1 social emotional learning goal, and then 1 IEP compliance goal. So I'll start at the top for you. By June of 2026, we were targeting that 50% of our students would meet or exceed their percentile growth target on their benchmark. So as my colleagues and building principals principals have presented to you that specific data. Our students who receive services are included in that performance data that they are presenting. So in looking at that, we are targeting that our students who receive services grow at a 60th percentile or greater. So that is a greater growth rate than students who are not being supported by us. So at the semester, we were at 28% of our students who receive support from us meeting that criterion. So we had some progress. I had hoped that that progress would be greater than what it was at semester, but we just also finished another round of benchmarking. So as we think about it, we are in 2 series of a 3-part with benchmarks. So I'm hopeful that at the end of the year, I'll come back with some more data that I can give to you all that gets us right at that 50% or higher with that final benchmark taking place. And the bottom goal is in the similar contrast of reading and literacy skills. So the top one is specific to our numeracy skills, and the bottom one is specific to literacy. So we were targeting that 70% of our students would meet or exceed that growth criteria, and we are at 38% presently. So again, that same piece of we're on track with making that growth, and we hope that this 3rd benchmark will get us that last growth measure that we need. Some points I'd like to make about this data and working with Rachel Ward and our school building data teams. We really looked into this data being somewhat discrepant in where we started with our baseline. So what we did this year is we were very intentional about our staff giving us feedback that our students were assessed a lot, meaning students who were receiving support were taking more than 1 benchmark. And we felt like that was not setting up our students for success to assess them multiple times on the same skills. So we streamlined our assessments, and we are using STAR assessments and NWEA assessments only for this data. So we did take our baseline from a different assessment tool. So we're keeping that as 9 as we look into this and look more closely at it at the building level so that we can truly target a change for individual programming for students as appropriate. The second goal is that you see with the 74% progress is based on social behavior skills. So students who are receiving support from special school district in the area of social behavior skills all have individual goals attached to that. So this data is reflective of those students' individual goal progress. So what this tells us is that 74% of those goals indicate that they are making progress or are on target to be met at the expiration of that student's annual IEP. And then the third goal that you see is the IEP compliance goal. So our target as a new IEP process this year for Charting the Life course was to have an 85% quality score across all of our case managers in the district using that process. Our quality score is a 95% average, so I'm pleased to share that we are exceeding that goal at this time as it pertains to IEP development and compliance. So the last piece is our future goal focus. What this looks like for me is a group of educators from each of our buildings. They call it our area leadership team, much like our building leadership team, get together at the end of the year and then one day over the summer to plan and outline what those specific goals are. So we don't yet have baseline and growth measures to put in there. However, we will continue our work with the literacy and numeracy goals, knowing that we have a change in what that assessment tool is. We'll continue our focus on the social emotional learning component and then continuing our Charting the Life course journey. That was a new, again, process for our staff starting in September of this year. So by September of next year, we will have a full year of that process in our system. I'll take any questions you have at this time.
I have a question. So this numeracy and the literacy goals,
Yes.
is this different between, say, the students that are being served in ECC versus MRH versus High School?
Yes.
And you might have commented on that, but just kind of.
No, that's okay. So it is encompassing of K-12 data right now. So the data that you're looking at is not broken down by building, but I can certainly do that and share that.
I mean, just based on your own, probably instinct on the data, are there some buildings where we have more concerns or we might need to invest in more resources than others?
Our trend data in our buildings for students with IEPs is
really matching the trend data of our students without supports for us. So what we have also done this year is increased our partnership with MTSS and Dr. Lauren Weisler and her team as we're thinking about reading support plans or reading success plans for students. So we have really targeted a lot of resources to our K-6 learners under that guidance as well.
So on the slide 3, you mentioned that the district prevalence is just slightly higher than the regional average. Is there a clear trend on whether that is due to initial eligibility or students transferring with existing plans?
So it's a combination for us. We are not as transient in terms of students leaving us, but we do have students come to us, and we find that trend for our students who are receiving services at the same time as those natural trends for our students who move buildings. So we do see sometimes a slight increase at our middle school and a slight increase at our high school over time for students who may leave us and come back in that transfer process. But those initial evaluations also, we do see a slight increase in our elementary school because of that third grade transition, and that is a pivotal year when our students often on their reading journey will go from learning to read to reading to learn, right? And so we see some of those pieces becoming larger and those concerns becoming greater. So there is a slight increase in those initial evaluations at that transition.
This might be just a very easy context question. The diagnostic tool is CTs and LC. Can you help me understand the discrepancy between that high value 95% and the lower levels of progress that we're seeing? Do those correlate? And if they don't, then should they be more?
Sure, great question. So the Charting the Life course process is the process we use to develop the individual education plans. So there's not necessarily a direct correlation to student performance data and that process. Where the connection comes in is the programming that's developed through that process and the student growth. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, board. I'm here to talk about the Climate and Culture Survey initiative that we've been working on for several years in MRH. Just to clarify, we do administer climate and culture surveys to 4 constituent groups: our instructional staff, our support staff, families, and students. We've been fortunate with our survey that we use for the University of Missouri as a partner. It's a free survey and quite good. We're able to really extract the data. It doesn't cost us any money. We're able to kind of manipulate it and use it in a way that's useful for our staff. We created a separate support staff survey 2 years ago because instructional staff survey questions weren't really speaking to the experience of our support staff. So it's a separate survey that we created. So I wanted to provide some context on that. Despite my love of PowerPoints, I've been encouraged to use the executive summary format, which I'm going to kind of go over tonight. So one thing I wanted to talk about is our participation levels. For 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, our community was really concerned about climate and culture. We heard them loud and clear, and Dr. Jameson asked us to really initiate a climate and culture survey process twice a year, which Desi asked us to do it once. We decided to do it twice to get a couple of different data points to kind of show growth in terms of addressing those concerns. After 2 full years of doing that survey biannually, we heard loud and clear from our community that's too many surveys. So this year we're going back to an annual survey in the fall with the goal of really increasing participation rates. And I think we largely succeeded with that. The student survey participation rate remains strong, 80% or plus in grades 3 through 8, and an 8% improvement in the high school participation rate. In the instructional staff survey, 69% was a record high. We still like to see those numbers increase, but that's a higher number than we've had in the past. That's like a staff that's been the majority of the time providing services rather than students. That's about 200 potential survey participants for us. The The support staff survey did match the rate of 40% that we had 2 years ago, much better than the spring admission, which was 12%. But we still see some growth opportunities there, and I'll talk about that when we talk about next steps. The family participation was a record high. We had 476 families participate, which is almost 45%. We set an ambitious goal of 400 and far exceeded it, so thank you, families. I think that gives us more data points to really kind of mine and grow. So that's a brief overview of participation. In terms of some positive growth and trends that we saw, in the student survey, it measures, it has questions in 13 areas, and there's been an increase in all 13 areas since we started administrating the survey. Most notably in the area of the school setting clear boundaries and school safety. In terms of school personnel and instructional staff survey, again, positive increases were noted in all 9 domains when we compared the data in the fall of 2023 to this last administration. The climate and culture data sharing showed the most improvement, which was a growth opportunity 2 years ago, and now is one of our relative strengths. And I don't think that's by coincidence. We talk about this all the time, not just at the board meeting presentation, but in all of our leadership meetings, building district, and it's embedded in our building goals, which you guys heard a couple of months ago. In the family survey, positive increases were noted in 7 of the 8 domains. Again, we're comparing the data over the last 2 years. And again, the data sharing showed the most growth. I also wanted to share some areas of stability that have been consistently strong throughout the last 3 years. The support staff have consistently identified that their work is meaningful and aligned with the unified vision of this district. The instructional staff have consistently stated that they feel connected to their colleagues. The students, and I love this one, the students all say consistently that there is a trusted adult in their building that they can talk to. And that makes the student director heart sing. And the families have identified consistently over the last 3 years that adults listen to students. So those are some consistent areas of stability. In terms of opportunities for growth, they primarily lie in the area of the support staff survey. There were declines in all 10 domain areas, even though they still find the work meaningful. We did see some real glaring and some real need to do some work here, particularly on support staff recognition, work-life balance, collaboration with leadership, and professional development. The students also identified an area of growth in terms of student behaviors interfering with teachers' capacity to teach effectively. So we also kind of wanted to look at that in terms of next steps. So in terms of next steps, the support staff, as I mentioned, identified professional development as an area of growth for MRH. And even tomorrow, like Dr. Jameson's leading it, there's going to be a support staff session on the connection between their work and our strategic plan. It's very intentional and really lifts up their work. In the fall, that course is going to continue on some days. We're going to talk about their alignment with our mission and vision, and how their work contributes to the mission and values of MRH. The students identified a concern that some classroom behaviors interfere with instruction. So our district MTSS team and our building team are exploring and implementing Tier 1 social emotional learning supports to enhance the student experience, especially in the classroom, so teachers can teach, students can learn, and classroom communities can thrive. Number 3, we want to kind of also increase support staff participation in the climate and culture survey. 47% is not the number we want to be at. We recognize that we have some English language learners and some that need probably interpreters to complete the survey. We want to make sure that our support staff have access to devices so they can complete the survey. So our goal next year is to really increase the participation level by increasing access for them. As I mentioned earlier, data sharing is important. When I first started working here, we did the climate and culture survey as a way to check a box. It's a testing compliance issue. We did it in the fall. Sometimes the participation level was high, usually not, and we moved on. We took a peek at it and moved on. We stopped doing that. Now we own the data, we look at the data. I'm asked to present and share data all the time. So we are creating a data dashboard that all the teams have access to. Student leadership teams, building leadership teams, district leadership teams, so they can in real time look at the data and establish goals and implement some strategies. So that's one of our next steps that we're continuing to kind of work on. We're also trying to look at some data and aligning it up with our strategic plan. We have a strategic plan with goals and action steps. So we kind of pull some of the growth opportunities that come out of the climate and culture survey and see if that lines up. So for example, one of the things about student behaviors interfering with teaching has made us look long and hard in our for health committee about curriculum resources, SEL Tier 1, especially at the secondary level.
want my work to kind of help the learning in those areas. Also, in terms of family engagement, bringing topics to the community around bullying, restorative practices, and healthy relationships is a way to kind of make that connection and bring some of that learning home. That's a quick overview of the executive summary. Do you guys have any questions for me at this time? And thank you also for the participation in the survey for the families. That was a great experience. Yeah, right.
Yeah, in your executive summary, you mentioned, I think we were just talking about a moment ago, the support staff side declines in 10 domains.
Yeah.
Now, when I look at your PowerPoint, I guess what do you mean by decline? The number goes up relative to last year in most of the categories.
I think I compared to the fall of 2020.
You're looking back 2 years.
Yes.
Okay, so compared to 2 years ago.
Yeah, because we've given a support staff survey 3 times. In the spring of 2025, it was such a low participation level 12, it didn't seem like it was, not a researcher, but it didn't seem like that was a valid number. So I was kind of comparing it to the fall of 2024. Yeah, the first time we administered. Thank you.
I do love the idea of once a year because I think we can almost survey fatigue. My question is, when do we administer it in the fall?
We usually, it's interesting because we do like it. We wait till the school year's off and running. There's a part of me that says, gosh, we began in August and September when everything's rosy, we might not get a real true number. So we kind of delay it to about October-ish. And we try to capture most of the data between October, like mid to late October through Thanksgiving. We've extended it to early December. So that's kind of the window we can give the survey.
So I guess my question is on that, if we're moving that timeline up, I'm wondering if it would be helpful to hear the data a little sooner.
Okay.
And then also that way, because it seems like a lot of the next steps are like based off last year's timeline, so like you'll start in the future, but that way perhaps maybe we could implement some sooner. I don't know, the planning already, so I think
If you help with that one, so the schools actually get the data prior to it being presented, and they work with the teams to make it present, and that's how they identify their goals for their building.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they are
Right, like when I talk about the data dashboard, I was getting requests from the schools in real time in the fall. So it's kind of fun. I need to do something different. I'm getting all the emails. So I created a dashboard that they have access to all the time now. So you can get that numbers in there. I think when the buildings presented like a couple months ago, they had climate and ultra goals that were based on the data they would see.
that was that. Okay, that
Yes.
was that. Okay.
Yeah. And I think we were going to talk about this in the earlier month, but I think this got postponed. Yeah, a couple times.
So it might be helpful for us to talk about the school sooner.
Sure.
And know what everyone else is using too.
Yeah.
You can make modifications on the individual calendar, so Kevin, you can make a note to the original calendar.
No problem.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Rich.
2 questions.
Okay.
Staff is new to all staff, certified teachers, school staff, and admin.
So there, in the instructional staff survey, it's primarily teachers, paraprofessionals, people that spend the majority of their time providing direct services to the schools. We look at the questions about classroom space, instructional materials, etc. The other survey is people that are critically important to our school, front office staff, central office staff, operations team, even our district administrators do that survey. It's a shorter survey, and it gets us some kind of work-life balance and other kinds of issues because the questions in the instructional staff survey are really specific to people who work with kids. So there's a survey for everyone.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, no problem.
And then there's an asterisk on the chart on the PowerPoint for the middle school students in fall 2025.
Okay.
Do you know what that refers to?
I have to pull that up. Let me see.
Sorry, for participation rates. Yeah, it's the fall participation rate for middle school. 88% participation, there's an asterisk next to it.
Yeah, asterisk.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think it might be about that. I think it might be having a PowerPoint slide that has a note for me at the bottom. So
So it's not.
no, it's not. It's like it's on it.
While the slides are up, I realize my confusion when you were talking about earlier. The next slide says school staff. Then the executive summary refers to instructional staff. These are the same.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so yeah, this is the instructional staff survey, correct?
Okay, great.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right,
Thanks for the feedback.
All right, next up, fiscal year 26 March financial statements by Michelle.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Jameson, and board members, welcome. We are here tonight to briefly go over the the March financial statements. We have received 86% of our revenue that we've budgeted for the current year, and that is pretty on point based in comparison to our last previous year. There are still some revenues that we anticipate receiving towards the end of the year, so we look forward to adding those to our final numbers. We will, we are looking at amending the budget. We will be bringing that before you in June in order to kind of adjust the budget according to where we are believing we're going to land. As far as expenditures are concerned, we have spent 77% of our budget on salaries and benefits, and then 20% of that is on either instructional materials and supplies and other areas of interest for the district when it comes to those expenditures. So overall, we've spent 65% of our total budget in comparison to last year of 69%, so we are a bit down with expenditures. Our fund balance still is slated to be at 44% by the end of the school year. So that is just a brief synopsis of where we are for this month and month ending in March. Are there any questions that I can answer for you?
Yeah, so I have a question on the actual, the actual detail. So, instructional staff development is professional development, correct? Is that what it encompasses?
Function 2213.
Okay, so my question is actually probably going to end up being for Dr. McKee. But so I was looking at that, and I know we've had some presentations where people have identified that perhaps there wasn't enough funding for professional development. We've had some comments saying we're cut professional development. But when we look at this, we actually approved a huge increase in professional development. But what I see here is very little spending in it. We're actually $100,000 behind where we were last year with half the budget. So I was just curious, do we know what's going on here?
Yes, and so the school's budget at the beginning of the year, some of those funds have been removed and placed in the contingency account, and that was something that we started last year when we saw that they were over padding budgets. Okay. And so this year, as we look at budgets, I think a couple of the questions that came up was how were we able to reduce from the last board meeting when we were going over the budget presentation too. It's going through and looking at what those expenditures are. So we've made adjustments to their budgets because they're asking for more professional development funds that aren't utilized.
Okay.
But money is out.
It's there. I mean, some of this is also clarification for the public because there's a lot of comment, directed and specific board members too about cutting what we actually doubled for this year. So the money's there, it seems. Okay. Thank you. So that was just did anyone have any other questions? Okay. So the next one is the budget presentation.
So we are bringing before you the third iteration of the FY27 budget. We are looking at, with the local revenue, there are several different pots of funding that the district has. So that's our local revenue, state, federal revenues. Because the bulk majority of our revenue is based on our taxes, this is a non-reassessment year, so we're not anticipating any increase and our, what we will receive in taxes over the course of the next fiscal year. As it relates to our state revenue, we budgeted, so our budget is based on historical data and projections of what we anticipate happening in the upcoming year. And the initial budget was built based on assumptions of there would be an increase in state funding. And with that, we are looking at the revenues a lot closer to see if our projections are actually correct. When it comes to the basic formula, we took a 5% increase over what the previous or the current year when it comes to what we anticipate getting for next year. We know that Prop C, based on what what's in the governor's budget is, will be fully funded. And so we will see not only fully funded, but that base dollar amount has increased over the FY26 school year. So we will see an increase in the Prop C if the budget is approved the way that he has laid it out. As far as the classroom trucks, we kind of hold that constant because that is based on gaming revenue and lottery revenue. And so if those sales were down, then we can see that that may not be a fully funded source of revenue from the state. The basic formula, the state adequacy target that has been approved for the last 2 years was $7,145. But for last year and it's projected for next year that it's not going to be fully funded. So for the current school year, we're at a $6,900 reimbursement rate for the basic formula. I can anticipate that may be slightly lower than that dollar amount, just depending on how the governor's budget is finally approved. So if you look at our projected revenues, we took a closer look at those numbers to align closer to what we know for sure already. We received new information that we will be funded for Titles 1, 2, and 4. So we already increased the budget to take into account that $200,000 increase. As far as expenditures, salary and benefits, we know will be increasing because the board approved a 9% increase for teachers, and then we have proposed a increase for both admin and support staff. And so once those are approved, we can lock down what that budget actually looks like for next year. But right now, we are looking at a $1.7 million increase on salaries and a $753,000 increase for benefits. And that is due to us budgeting at the highest rate that the CSD Trust told us that we may receive for the upcoming year. We have not gotten any new information since March, but we're looking at potentially a 19% increase in benefits for next school year. And also, when we are doing that calculation for benefits, we have to also include a higher contribution for Social Security based on what those salaries are.
Did you say 19%?
Yes, sir, 19%. So they quoted us between a 10 and 19%. When it comes to this, I would err on the side of making it at the worst case scenario so that we can include it in our budget and adjust down if those numbers come in. So we had, over the past few months, sent out the budgets to the building principals and district leadership so that they can provide us what they want to include in their budget for the upcoming school year. We've taken a look at that data and have refined it to make sure that it is in line with what they're asking for. In addition to that, we've taken the opportunity to review that and ask tough questions. Is this something that needs to happen in the school year? And look at areas where we can take reductions in. And so we saw a considerable decrease from the earlier iterations of the budget for both purchase services and supplies based on us having those tough conversations with the buildings leadership. few key areas that we are going to see potential increases in our expenditures. And so we want to ensure that as we go forward, that those are marked in the budget and make sure that we kind of have those tough conversations around the other things that we could cut in order to make sure that those things don't happen. So right now, we are anticipating the spend for salaries and benefits being 78% of the overall expenditure budget, with purchase services coming in at 12.7%. And preliminarily, if we look at our total budget, our total operating budget, we anticipate right now a deficit spend of $393,000, but we're still working with district leadership in order to get that number down. And all of these numbers are fluid and subject to change based on, the more that we refine the budget. Are there any questions?
So, Michelle, thank you so much, and I appreciate the extra explanations to changes in the expenses and the revenues. When do you think we're going to receive from this state a more fixed number on the revenue side? Will that come in May, by the end of May, for our May board meeting, or do we really have to wait until June? Or, in your experience, do we actually not get a real solid number until after the budget year?
That's really what it's most like. So we're gonna have to wait until the governor approves the budget. We do know what he has presented, and it is working its way through the House and the Senate. There will probably be some edits depending on what the governor's and the Senate's priority is. And so this is a living document. The budget won't be solid until literally by the time we close the year, because different things can change. I'll give you a great example. With DESI, when it comes to the federal grants, they have up until the end of that fiscal year to make adjustments to the allocation. And so that could mean that they are increasing it or they can decrease it. So I've seen cuts in federal allocations as late as May. And the districts having to pivot in order to ensure that they are not overspending those grants. So what we're giving you is a best case scenario of what a conservative best case scenario of what we anticipate spending. And when I bring back the budget in probably in June, I'll lay out for you what the calculations are based on the information that we have at that time, so that you know that these are solid numbers that we can work from.
Thank you. And one last, we'll let others jump in. That's fine. I think it might be best to wait until June with my next question. I'll mention it, but you don't need the answer, and that's my point. Is, we had put in the budget directive a desire for a capital improvement fund. I know you were at the 4R Resource Committee meeting, the Tribers Association mentioned that would be helpful if we had a capital improvement fund. And so, as you build the budget and as we look to that June time to hear more from you, it would be great if you could give us a sense of what's realistic for that. I know we started with a fixed number and then we took that out of the budget directive because we weren't thinking we need to give some flexibility. So I would just love, I would hope that doesn't fall by the wayside, that we would at least get, even if it was $10, it's a step in the right direction. A lot of like potential. It would be a step in the right direction. So, that is it. Because we have no future expenses, and that's what the Tribers report was telling us. We know roofs can be fixed, and certain units have to be replaced, et cetera, et cetera. So it would be nice if the people sitting at this table, 3, 4, and 5 years from now, have money in the bank that's already set up.
Navigate is actually working with non-future and structure to get to that number, Mark to give a better idea of when those projects are completed, and yet also some of the costs that Coordinator Clark identified were not necessarily costs today. So they are working on it. We have discussed what that looks like and also laying out just projects that we need service.
Absolutely.
Next up, we have board communication discussion. Rebecca is upcoming events. We do always have a day off school, the day after we, so there is a day off school. Sorry.
It's all right. No school tomorrow for students, but I believe teachers are here for professional development. MAP and BOC are coming up across schools. So there'll be a lot of different announcements about testing. On April 28th, there's a community conversations on the calendar. Any promo for that yet? Still thinking about it?
Healthy relationships, inviting parents and their children to discuss boundaries and things of that nature. It's closed in the loop on that for us. Great.
Virtual, not in person.
It's virtual. The reminder is virtual. And then May 20th, night at the Magic House. Is there anything that listeners need to be doing in preparation for that?
Vince, did you want to come up and share some information about this event?
Yeah, we're excited about this event. We have a partnership with Character Plus, and they are giving us the Magic House for MRH families and students for free on Wednesday, May 20th. And it has a capacity for 500 people, so like that's quite a few. Character Plus created an exhibit on heroes, but really we have a whole facility to ourselves. Ed is working on
Can
it.
you speak a little slower? The microphone's not touching you.
Oh, sure, no problem. Yeah, so I don't know, I can repeat all that. So May 20th at the Magic House is part of our partnership with Character Plus. We're giving this facility for free from 6 to 8 p.m. We'll be blasting it out in both the district newsletter and building newsletters for families and just to RSVP on Eventbrite. But I did want to say publicly, even if you decide to go to day out, there will be room for you because there's a capacity for 500 people. So we're excited. So look into your upcoming emails for a way to kind of respond to RSVP on using Eventbrite.
It has been in the weekly district newsletter for about 2 weeks now that families can expect a direct pointed blast, not buried within the newsletter, sometime next week when I can get through this week. So it'll be prominently marked.
ECC, Scholastic Book Fair is going on now. Concerts for second grade and kindergarten this week. And the PTO sneaker ball is this weekend. There's a sleep strategies webinar next week on the 21st with parents and teachers. And preschool tours the 23rd and 24th. ECC Farmers Market is coming up. It's a really busy time. All the good activities that other people want to come to as well, like the Farmers Market. And Studio Day on May 19th. The elementary 6th grade capstone just occurred. Those slept on air mattresses, if you want to know. But there were others who were brave enough to do it, and we thank them for that. And then April 18th is the All District Choir that's the St. Louis All District Choir at Orchard Farms. The plant sale is coming up May 2nd, 4th grade trip to Jeff City May 5th. MRH is going to City 2 Soccer as a fundraiser May 9th. And 6th grade field expedition in Maryville May 19th. Middle school has not as many line items, thankfully. 7th grade expedition though to A Touch of Nature is next week. And then the band concert is coming up after that on the 29th. High school, congrats to the mock trial team. Their second state win in a row. Yes, and they beat Kirkwood, which is a tough competitor with a long history in mock trials. That was exciting. And then speech and debate will be going to Springfield for Misha State on the 24th. And then they will have nationals after the end of school. Band concerts on the May 6th. Senior car parade, one of our COVID-inspired traditions, will occur on May 17th. And then will start May 20th. And graduation falls after our next meeting, so but it is coming.
I'd just like to add one thing, because Mike and Dietrich told me about this before the meeting started, that the boys volleyball team won their first match tonight. Looking forward to a good season. Congrats to the team.
Alrighty, and then perpetual calendar, just as a reminder for the board, and I'll send an email that May is designated as our special retreat month, that we'll get together and do a little retreat and talk about stuff. So I will send out a request for dates and see what people are available. Do people have committee reports? Yes, they do.
For health. Yes, we met on the 13th. Actually, the survey results that you just saw, and a couple other things. Really good discussion. Gave plenty of action items for Vince and Emily to take that. Looking for our community. The big thing was the newsletter that will be coming out. We reviewed some of the content, gave some feedback. And is working on getting that finalized. And watch for it in your mailbox in May. First week of May. If you lived on my street, last week of May. Never get my mail.
For our resources met, the sole topic was to receive a report from Mr. Foos from Trivers about our space utilization in all of our buildings. It made many highlights about necessary needs and then also wants that we could potentially do over the next 5 to 10 years. And then Joe's Place, let's see, they have, so Brandon and Angela's child was born, which is very good. They found a house in Marion, Missouri. There's talk about about the graduation party and about prom right now. So the residents are planning on prom, what they're going to do. There's been some funds made available for outfits, and then graduation party is going to be primarily about residents inviting their family and friends, and they're going to discuss food. Let's see.
That very successful clean up beautification this weekend.
Yeah, there was a cleanup, 35 bags of stuff were removed from the yard and taken away by the city of Maplewood. And a lot of things were put away and cleaned up. And on May 9th at 9:12 p.m. there'll be a planting session. So we're going to start ripping a bunch of plants out.
Graduating, I should say.
There's 4 residents and there are 4 graduates.
Okay. Is there any update on the selection of new family? Or is that not public?
Any other committee reports? There's one on here.
Students.
For students. Trying to see what they did, because
I'm just going to jump
oh, okay, I was like, Josh isn't here, so
That's right. We had an awesome 4 students where we went to all of our sites and looked at our pilot classrooms for our furniture. So we looked at the work that we did this year. We went over all of our action steps, and then we took a tour and we gave feedback. So we collected feedback on what we liked, what we didn't like, and kind of walked through the furniture pilot process. So that was my update for our students.
awesome. Thank you. And now we are on to action items. Property HVAC alternates. May I get a motion?
I move to approve the recommended HVAC alternatives in the amount of $186,200 and also place $100,000
in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Next, may I get a motion on policy EHBD?
I move to approve policy EHBD as presented with the policy page.
Second.
Okay, I do have a question about this one, and I've asked at the last school meeting, so I'm hoping someone can help me with it. So there is a line in here that says students and employees may be disciplined and employees may be terminated for AI use that violates this policy or any related policy or procedure. So my question is, this policy doesn't seem to have anything in it that you can violate. So I guess my question is, how do you, does it include the underlying plan? If you do something in the plan that's a policy violation, because I just can't. This just seems to be like how you establish the plan.
Yeah, my next step will be to not only take the revisions and feedback that you've given us on the draft 2 of the AI use plan, and then develop our training protocols related to that. So what we should see is a very clear outline in the AI use plan on what violating that plan would look like and what would be a violation of this policy.
And so I guess my question is, I don't love policies that aren't clear in terms of their implementation. So I guess my question is, am I missing the way you violate this policy? Unless it seems to be the only way you can violate this policy is if a violation occurs with respect to the plan. And so is a violation of the plan a violation of this policy?
So we had this discussion before, and one of the examples that was given is you take the student's identifiable information and put it in AI, that would be a violation of the plan. So there are other policies that are included at the bottom.
I guess I just don't see anything in here that you can violate. So I guess my question is, like, I'm not sure unless it's the plan, and then what I don't love is that it's not the policy. The policy violation depends on the plan that we don't approve necessarily. So like, for me, I think we need a plan. I liked the plan with respect to students because it was consistent. You had one person through the process, and one person who feels the decision maker. I just don't love this language that says students can be disciplined or employees terminated, and I don't know what that means.
But it also cites, if you look at the bottom of the policy where it says cross-reference, students, for example, it goes to student discipline and has some information there. We can table it and bring it back, but the way that the policy is currently written, the actual plan is supposed to detail on those operational pieces.
Right, and so I guess that's my question. If it's like cross-referencing a different policy, then the violation would be under that policy, right? It wouldn't be under this one. So I guess that's, I don't know if anyone else.
I don't understand how this policy is not covered by multiple other policies. It's privacy, safety, they're the same things that we have with anything that has to do with the internet. What makes this special? What makes AI special that we need a policy about it? I just don't see it in the policy. I think that we might want to put a proclamation together about the use of AI in schools, but I'm not sure if we need a policy around it. I'm not really in favor of approving this policy because I don't understand it.
So the board doesn't have to approve for any of the items, so you can take a vote and if it doesn't pass, it's not required. I will say that as AI is continuing to evolve, it's beneficial for us to have an AI policy, but if we want to take a vote, and if the vote does not pass in regards to adopting the policy, MRH can be district without an AI policy.
Can I suggest, maybe the question is, it may be like for me, mine may be like the question is legal in nature, that perhaps legal counsel could say, you're not reading this right, this is how this language affects that. Perhaps they could answer more questions trying to because I get your point. I think what this policy is supposed to do is create a plan, which I think we need a plan, but it feels like it brings in some other things that weren't covered elsewhere that then creates this problem where you have two things in one place that may not say the same thing. So I guess I will make a motion to table it, to have legal counsel look at it to help us understand how it applies in the context of our other policies.
I think it'd be good to set up a little subcommittee to try and sort of craft something that maybe will work, put more eyes on this, so that we get some more feedback about it. And including teachers, they're the ones that are going to control this most.
I thought the plan itself seemed to have that feedback. I think, I will say, I think there were some things missing when it came to like staff, like it covered students, but I think we talked about maybe there were some things for staff. So
Yeah, we can actually go feedback, we'll have it with time for you, so yes, absolutely.
That's what I thought.
It sounds like, if I understand from Dr. Jameson correctly, the district would like some help with some definitional terms. Is that right, to be able to add, to reference this within the student handbook or within the staff handbook?
So the student handbook is actually underway. That was something we started this year. We haven't taken for that. And AI use is actually included in the student handbook that's underway that will come to the board and children. So it will be included there with some more specifics around consequences and looking at the restorative approach. What I would suggest, if there are concerns about some of the language that Judy is mentioning, is that we take it to legal. I made some notes here what those concerns are, and if she wants to provide additional language or proof language, then we can bring it back and have it approved from that manner. But this is the general policy that came from MSBA, just to remind the board, it has changed since the first one we got, and I anticipate, to Trent's point, it will continue to change. So what I would suggest is that from the notes that I have and the questions that Judy raised, we ask legal to review it, bring it back next month, and then also bring the changes back as it relates to staff to be included in the actual plan that we developed. That's okay.
Is that, I made a motion to this is another consideration that because this policy language specifically states that it may be working out with development and is plan, I think that this will also solving out the development of
it's already completed.
that was not already. Because I will say for background, okay, for background, we had the policy to like, wait, it says plan, so that they worked hard with drafting things across the whole back. And so we brought the policy back, but I just, that just keeps sticking with me. I just want to make sure that we're not doing the policy. So I made a motion to table. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
And if we can just add this to the agenda.
Yes, thank you. All right, next up, let's see. Okay, this one reads a little different. I'm gonna go ahead and co-nominate or nominate co-family leader, for, the Lawrence and the Dix.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor? Just a question. Oh, yeah.
What is this in the budget?
$66 more than the
So let me make sure that's on there.
I will chip in. Yeah. That was fine.
we do not have to share a lot.
Okay.
Yes. We'll set up a schedule. All right. Yes. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Congrats on both of you.
Yes. Well deserved. I move.
Before we move to executive session, I just want to say thanks to the staff who's been working with the sound and everything. I know it was not an ideal move to this building, and I know many people and some of them are left, but I think it's smooth.
We're Dr. One Secretary.
Dr.
Like,
Hold
I don't know how long. It's hard.
Thank you. I know we'll be back in our home space, but it was nice to accommodate
motion on that? Yeah, okay. I move to enter executive session in accordance with section 610.021, subsections 135, 6, 9, 13, and section 610.022 of the revised statutes of Missouri on April 16, 2026 for the following specific reasons: identifiable student matters, legal matters, personnel matters.
Fuller?
Yes. Yes.
Holden?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Francois?
Yes.
Ms. Linder?
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay?
Yes. All right. Thank you. Yeah.